Okay, I want you to really think about this. What if the reason you still can't sleep isn't because you've lost the ability to sleep, but because you've been identifying with a version of yourself that can't sleep? And what if that version isn't even the real you? In this video, I'm going to show you how to break the insomnia identity and reconnect with the real you, the one who already knows how to sleep naturally. But not only that, what I'm about to walk you through can help you change any part of your life where you feel stuck. Because once you understand how identity works, you'll see how much power you really have to start living as your favorite version of yourself. So I've broken this down into 3 steps, which we're going to dive into in detail. Following these steps are how you start living the fullest, most magical life that I know you are meant to experience. So step number 1 is differentiating you versus your thoughts. We can't talk about identity without first talking about your thoughts. What happens to most of us is we get wrapped up in these thoughts inside our head, and then we start believing the negative self-talk as the truth about who we really are. But what they don't teach us in school is that the beliefs you have about yourself are almost entirely solidified by the age that you're 7 years old, unless you take charge and do something about it, which is what we're going to be doing in this video. The reason that this is because the conscious mind, your analytical mind, isn't fully developed until age 7. So everything you experienced in your life before age 7 was basically programmed into your subconscious by default, which is where your automatic beliefs, patterns, and habits are stored. This is because you didn't have an analytical mind yet until age 7. So anything that you experienced in your life just became programmed into you as the truth about yourself and about the world. So most of the ways that you think about yourself today actually came from other people, your parents, teachers, your culture. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a 6-year-old brain running my adult life. You do have the power to change these old programs, but it takes intention and awareness. You're probably way more sucked into that vortex of thoughts in your mind than you even realize. And this can be tricky because you're not ever choosing any thought that pops into your mind because they just appear. So where do those thoughts even come from? Thoughts come from your subconscious mind. Your thoughts are simply information about the way your subconscious is processing data. And all of that data comes from your past experiences. So if you don't start questioning these thoughts and interrupting the default thought pattern, you will just continue repeating the same shitty thoughts forever. This is how so many people fall into what I call the insomnia identity. And here's how it happens. You have a bad night. Then you have a few more bad nights. Then you start worrying about your sleep. So you start researching, looking for ways to fix it. And then you end up in the rabbit hole of fear-mongering on the internet with all of the articles talking about how you'll get XYZ disease if you don't sleep. This causes the survival mind to kick in full gear, and now it's on a mission to fix this problem. But all that ends up doing is triggering your survival mind to stay activated, worrying about how to fix your sleep. But to sleep, your survival mind can't be activated. You have to be calm and relaxed to sleep. So this is the trap that everyone falls into, including myself. I was stuck in the insomnia identity for 16 years. But once I finally understood how this worked, along with 2 other key shifts that fast track your ability to sleep naturally, everything finally changed for me. And that's actually why I created my method called the Sleep Success Method, which is just a simple process that retrains your mind and body to sleep easily again. And identity is just one piece of this, and we're covering that in this video. If you want to learn the full strategy, I walk you through that inside my free masterclass, which you can watch using the link in the description. When you don't understand the link between your subconscious mind and your identity, that is when insomnia becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Before you know it, insomnia becomes something that you have, something that defines you, all because you fell into the trap of listening and believing that fearful worry voice going on inside your head. So how do you actually know whether the thought is actually true or just fear? So this is the one mantra that I always come back to, which is, if it doesn't feel good, then it's not true. Then it's not the real me. Because if it doesn't feel good, then it's not the truth. It's not coming from the real essence of who you are. It's coming from the survival mind, that anxious, controlling, overly protective part of you, overly responsible part of you that just wants to keep you safe. Because here's the thing. If there really was something bad or even negative about you, or even something bad that was going to happen, because you can have those intuitions and gut feelings about those types of things, if it actually was true, it wouldn't be a screaming, panicky voice. It would be more of a quiet knowing without the worry. And that's the best way that I can explain it. But think about instances of your life where you had like a gut feeling. It's quiet. It's intuitive. It's not yelling at you and making you freak out about every little thing. So why do you have such a strong worry voice? Most of us have this programmed into us by our parents, our teachers, or other adult figures to punish ourselves as a form of motivation. Our parents would punish us in order to try to get us to behave how they wanted. Like if you got a bad grade on a test, now you're grounded. And so this is how the subconscious mind learned to punish you with negative self-talk in an attempt to motivate you to get the result that you want. This is mind-blowing. So I want you to really consider this, how that negative self-talk in your mind thinks it's helping you. It has a positive intention, even if it feels like crap. So your survival mind is always on your side, but it's not always accurate. I've started thinking of my thoughts as just background noise that happens to be going on between my ears. The majority of your thoughts are not true, and therefore they aren't worth giving much of your attention to. So this is how you get caught in what I call false identities. But once you know how this works, you can actually reprogram your default thought patterns to work more in your favor so you stop falling into that trap of just believing everything that you think. Step 2 to breaking the insomnia identity is declaring who you really are. Here is the truth. You already know how to sleep. Sleeping is your natural ability. You were born knowing how to sleep. And the real you still knows how. It's just that the survival mind has distorted your perception of that. There's a version of you that I call the big you. This is the real you. This is the you who sleeps great, but also doesn't care if they sleep or not. They're not fazed by it. The big you is indifferent to the topic of sleep altogether. And because it's not a big deal to them, they end up sleeping great. So those two things go hand in hand. Now, the voice of the survival mind has made you forget about the big you, and instead it has had you too focused on the little you. The little you is the version of you who is run by fear, anxiety, and worry. Little you is way too wrapped up in the details and trying to fix everything. The little you is the part of you that was shaped by your childhood, culture, all of the subconscious programming that you picked up without realizing it. This is the version of you that feels that they need to be perfect, that they need to be super productive and in control of every single detail of their lives. But the big you instead knows and trusts that things will end up working out exactly as they're meant to without having to force it. So I want you to just start playing around with this idea. The real you, the big you, doesn't buy into fear. The big you doesn't act from anxiety or make decisions based on anxiety. The big you isn't obsessing over their sleep. Instead, the big you trusts that however much sleep you get is exactly as much sleep as you need. It trusts that your body knows how to rebalance and start sleeping easily again. It trusts that sleep will come to you without you having to chase it. And that brings me to step 3 to break the insomnia identity, which is embodiment. If you want to change your identity, you have to start acting like the version of you who already has what you want. This is called embodiment, embodying it. It's like in your body, you are living from that belief system. So this is one of the ways to program your subconscious mind. And I would say that to change anything about yourself, you have to embody the new identity. So how do we make this easier? Well, here are some questions that you can ask yourself to help you embody that identity. What would someone who sleeps well normally do in this situation? How would they think about their sleep? How would they move through their evening? They wouldn't obsess about getting the perfect number of hours. They wouldn't spiral every time they had a bad night. They would trust that today is still going to be fine, you're going to get through it, and let it go. So even if you're not sleeping well yet, you can begin aligning your thoughts, behaviors, and your energy with the identity of someone who does sleep well. And part of this is just catching yourself when you're thinking like the old identity. That's the very first step to doing this. Because the more that you remind yourself that sleeping is no big deal and actually act like that, the faster your subconscious starts to believe that that's your reality, that's who you are. So now I have another little hack to tap into that energy more easily. I want you to think about a time in your life when sleep was just easy for you. You didn't stress about it. You didn't have to try to sleep. Sleep just happened automatically, right? Think about that time. There was a time for sure. That version of you still exists inside of you, and you can actually reconnect with them. So do that in your mind. In your mind, go back and reevaluate that time in your life and look for clues. What was going on in your life then? What were you doing in your life then? What were you working on? I don't know, school, passions, hobbies, what career? Where were you living? Who were you surrounded by? And this is how you can start to shape your life in a similar way to get back to being back in balance. Because a lot of what sleep issues really are is an imbalance in your life, not your sleep. Another way that you can embody that same energy of somebody who sleeps no problem is to actually think about another area of your life where things just naturally tend to work out for you. So maybe that's your career, your friendships, your relationships, your hobbies, maybe other aspects of your health come super easily to you, like fitness or meal prepping. I don't know what it is. There's probably at least one thing that you're naturally good at. So I want you to think of what that is. And now I want you to think of how you feel in that area of your life. Do you have to force it? Do you have to put in a lot of grueling hard work and effort as you hate the entire process? Or does it feel kind of like an afterthought? Like it just naturally works out, like it flows, like good jobs always find you, like the right people just always come into your life at the right time, or you just show up to a hobby and you live in the moment, you're in a flow state, like you do some type of art or crafting, music, dance, and it's just like a fun creative process. You're not stressing about it. The things that are going well in your life, you usually have an idea of how you'd like it to turn out, but you're not overly obsessing over it and you're not freaking out about it. And you also have this attitude of kind of just going with the flow, just seeing what happens, or treating it like a fun experiment. There is no attachment to it turning out a certain way. So do you see where I'm going with this? It's the same way that you approach that area of your life that just tends to work out all of the time. That's the same way you need to approach your sleep. Because the person who sleeps well all of the time, the person who doesn't have insomnia, they definitely are not obsessing over their sleep or worrying about if they'll sleep or not, or stressing if they have one bad night. These people can prioritize their sleep by having an idea of wanting to be in bed by a certain time so that they get a decent amount of sleep, but there is zero obsessing. There is zero attachment. It's just a given that they'll sleep. So sleep becomes an afterthought altogether. And that's because they just know that they will sleep, and they most definitely know that they don't have insomnia. If you need help feeling at peace with your sleep so that you can embody this identity, I have an entire playlist of videos I created called Insomnia Wind Downs, and these are videos of me coaching you through those moments when you can't sleep, helping you regulate your nervous system, and remember that you are perfectly safe to sleep and that nothing is wrong with you. You can listen to these before bed or in the middle of the night, or honestly, whenever you just need a reminder that your sleep doesn't need to be fixed. You can find them all right here. Start with whichever one speaks to you and let the version of you who knows how to sleep naturally begin to take the lead.